could cost us tons of manufacturing jobs as we get into this trade war. It's a really disturbing policy. I hope he backs off.
But Kevin, he said there's a lot of deals that they're literally kissing his ass was the phrase he used, very eloquently. Where are the deals?
104% tariffs on China are not enough. I'm advocating 400%.
What's happening, everybody? Earlier this week, Kevin O'Leary joined the panel on Laura Coates Live on CNN. Once again, the entire panel was dreaming up every fantasy possible to convince the public that Donald Trump's tariffs will ruin the economy worldwide, but they continue to fail to tell us why. Kevin O'Leary has by far the most logical explanation of the strategy behind the tariffs, as well as the importance of rebalancing our trade agreements with the rest of the world. Kevin O'Leary recently spoke to the Congressional Small Business Committee during a hearing focused on access to capital and went even further in depth on the topic of Donald Trump's reciprocal tariffs. By the way, it's a great watch if you have the time and you're interested in the topic. Anyway, let's watch Kevin O'Leary truly live up to his name as he wonderfully makes an entire panel of duplicitous liberals look like a bunch of a-holes. Let's go.
What happens if we go into a full-scale trade war?
Look, it's really ugly. This president won the election based on reducing costs, but he's enacted the largest tax increase we've seen in over 50 years. And you know who's going to pay the price? Americans shopping at Walmart, Americans shopping at Costco. We don't know the purpose of these tariffs. The only thing we do know is he's planning on taking tax revenue from Americans paying more at Walmart and Costco and putting that into tax cuts for the wealthiest Americans. It's totally gross, and it's putting us on the brink of a recession. It could cost us tons of manufacturing jobs as we get into this trade war. It's a really disturbing policy. I hope he backs off.
But Kevin, he said there's a lot of deals that they're literally kissing his ass was the phrase he used, very eloquently. Where are the deals?
104% tariffs on China are not enough. I'm advocating 400%. I do business in China. They don't play by the rules. They've been in the WTO for decades. They have never abided by any of the rules they agreed to when they came in for decades. They cheat, they steal IP. I can't litigate in their courts. They take product, technology, they steal it, they manufacture it and sell it back here. Never has an administration.
400% tariffs? What would that
I
look
want
like?
Xi on an airplane to Washington to level the playing field. It's just not about tariffs anymore. Nobody has taken on China yet, not the Europeans, no administration for decades. As someone who actually does business there, I've had enough. I speak for millions of Americans who have IP that have been stolen by the Chinese. I have nothing against the Chinese people. They brought great literacy, art, and tech to the world. The government cheats and steals, and finally, an administration, you may not like Trump, you may not like his style or his rhetoric, finally, an administration that puts up and says enough. 400% tariffs tomorrow morning. He'll tell you why. Xi can only stay the supreme leader if people are employed. If we wipe out any business there, because we are still 39% of all consumables on Earth and 25% of the world's GDP, America is the #1 economy on Earth with all the cards. We will not have that forever. It's time to squeeze Chinese heads into the wall now.
Well,
I'm
hold
not
on
talking
a
about
second,
tariffs
Kevin.
on
Well,
60
I hear you, but hold on. If we're talking about people, the average consumer, not necessarily the head honchos of businesses all across the globe, can they withstand the pressure of that sort of tax on the goods?
It's short-lived. There will be
But what's your timeline compared to, you don't know the average American's timeline, what they can actually survive. There's people right now who can't survive
400% tomorrow morning, cheese on an airplane to Washington to cut a deal.
What do you think?
You know, here's the thing, though. This is the perfect example of, I understand how it would benefit you, but that's not what the American people voted for. They voted because Trump said within 24 hours, costs will come down.
Trump supporters, by the way, you're talking about.
Well, Trump said that and there were people in the middle who said, okay, I'm going to vote for that. He also said he'd end the wars. That's not happening. We still have supply chain issues. So I just filled up my tank yesterday. Gas prices are not down. Rent, groceries, prices are not down. And when people are looking what's happening in the markets and they see the uncertainty and they see their 401ks, I had to listen to my mom talk about her investments on Sunday and she's nervous. I get it. On top of that, though, don't forget, tomorrow we're going to have a vote on a budget. that is going to be also another series of cuts for the American people and a little bit of gamesmanship, as you were saying, so that we can sort of pay for the tax cuts for folks like Kevin. Then we've also got Doge, and we've got the impact that the Doge cuts and the cuts in jobs are actually having on economies around the country. So it's when you layer all that together. And I think what you saw over last weekend is people don't want to wait anymore. People are angry. I mean, we saw incredible turnout over the weekend in rallies all across the country. We're seeing it in the polls. People are frustrated.
I want to bring this into real terms as well. I mean,
Can I just point out that the woman that was just speaking, her name is Karen? I mean, I'm not going there because it's too easy and it's lazy, but it's a fitting forename. This woman started off her little diatribe there on the wrong foot for me. In a snarky way, she says, I see how it would benefit you, talking about the tariffs and pointing out how Kevin O'Leary is extremely wealthy. Everything Donald Trump is doing will help everyone. You're not this obtuse, are you? Is it intentional? Name the movie. That's an easy one. From February to March, the consumer price index is down by 0.1%. Now, that may not sound like much, but it's extremely significant. This is the first month-over-month drop in consumer price index since 2020. I'm getting tired of these pundits always talking about, can the average American handle this short-term pain for long-term success? I don't know exactly, to be honest with you. Again, I mentioned before, I'm one of those people that financially I can't take much short-term pain, but I'm willing to sacrifice. But whatever the answer is, what's her suggestion? Should we just scrap the whole thing? Better yet, what is your solution? Crickets. I'll get right back to the video, but another thing that irritated me was that she also pulled another bread and butter play out of the Democrat playbook or liberal playbook or liberal commentator playbook. They never elaborate. Explain to me realistically how Doge cuts and layoffs are negatively affecting economies around the country. I need you to explain it to me and give me examples, not anecdotes. Do you see how if you're a liberal, you get to say whatever you want on here, but no one pushes back on you? All right, back to it.
I'm an everyday person, I'm going to tell you that right now. And so when I think about how much things cost, I want to know things I'm going to afford or not afford. Listen to what somebody who's a furniture store owner in Kansas had to say about, say, the price of a sofa.
With the 54%, if we sell a sofa for $1,000, we will have to sell it for $1,299. And if it's 104%, then that sofa will be over $2,000. I don't think they can afford it.
Zolan, that's a real figure for a lot of people. A $2,000 couch as opposed to what they thought they were going to spend?
Yeah, that means higher prices for average Americans. And by the way, that's what Republicans in Congress right now are also worried about here. Hearing from their constituents at town halls and as the weeks go by, if consumer prices go up, that economic frustration then turning into political backlash against them and the administration.
So Kevin's point is that it's short-lived. What's your reaction?
Well, I mean, it's up to debate whether it's actually going to be short-lived at this point. Consumer prices going up. Again, economists say U.S. importers do pay the price of tariffs. That then goes down to the consumer. Also, one thing that is consistent right now is uncertainty. There's uncertainty right now. And this gamble that the administration is doing that the average American will be able to weather through any type of economic frustration is bet on the idea that you'll then have investment in American manufacturing. Tough to pair investment with uncertainty.
So where does consumer confidence factor into all this? If people are nervous about what they can or cannot afford, how about that short-lived proposition?
I mean, it's plummeting. And I think the only way we're going to restore it is if Congress takes back the car keys from the president and takes away his power to impose the largest tax cut in 50 years with the stroke of a pen. That's the only way that people are going to have confidence. If he announces a series of deals tomorrow, what's going to happen? In a month from now, nobody's going to have any confidence that this is going to go away. As long as he has, basically the gun on the Resolute desk, American consumers, businesses are all at risk as long as it's there.
Oh, we're talking about, obviously, sofas, but how about iPhones, which so many people have? There's this notion of making it in the United States. Talk to me about that, Kevin. What is the likelihood that that could actually happen? There are people who are saying, fat chance.
Moving manufacturing back to the U.S. takes a long time, but I'm still focused on two aspects. I mean, you have to differentiate the tariffs negotiated between countries, because the Eurozone just 48 hours ago said something remarkable. For the first time in decades, we're willing to go to 0 on 0. That means they open up all markets to all products, all services. That's a huge win. So forget about Israel or Thailand or Cambodia. We're talking about one of the largest economies on earth saying, okay, we get the joke. You want to sell cars? You want to sell a Corvette in Berlin? We're okay at 0. We've never had that before. So let's call that a huge win. We haven't done the deal yet, but let's get the German people over here to start negotiating that. Agriculture in Britain will go to 0 on 0. Canada, we'll love to do energy 0 on 0. So that's a huge win for him. Huge. He hasn't even taken advantage of it yet.
I thought, Kevin, part of it, I'm curious from your perspective and everyone, if one of the biggest assets of a negotiation is leverage, if he has said they're here to stay, does that remove some of the ability for him to negotiate in the long run with these countries?
Well, I'm trying to differentiate between the trade non-parity. For an example, you talk about Thailand. I have a company that makes greeting cards. Hewlett-Packard laser cutters making greeting cards in Thailand because labor's cheap, and we FedEx them every day here. They only have an economy of 35 billion, and the deficit is 200 billion. That country will never have trade parity with us. It's too small. But we can go to 0 tariffs with them. And I'm telling you, there's a difference between getting everybody at 0 on 0, which is free trade basically, which for Trump would be a huge win. That call 48 hours ago when the Eurozone said, okay, uncle, we'll go to 0, take that win. It's a huge win. Now, getting trade deficits settled, that's going to take decades, because we are the largest economy on earth by a factor of 2.5 times.
What's your thoughts?
We're always going to have
I
deficits.
also want to zoom out because I do think
First part of that clip, Laura Coates goes, look, I'm just going to say it. I'm an everyday person. Her net worth is like $2 to $3 million as far as I can determine. Do you think the economic speed bumps are felt by her like they are for you and me? Give me a break. So that Karen lady, more stuff popped into my head that irritated me. She said, this is why they voted for Donald Trump, to reduce prices. People don't want to wait anymore. I can empathize with that. But where were you when the economy was tanking for 4 years straight? Defending the Biden administration? So, see if I can get this straight. Because the previous administration did absolutely nothing, Trump's administration suddenly has a time limit to turn the economy around? Because you didn't give two shits about consumer confidence during the election when it was in the toilet, but now you care? Got it. These people just can't be trusted. There's zero consistency, rules for thee but not for me, and there's an agenda behind every word that they say. For example, she said something else like, the American people are not happy with this, we're seeing it in the polls. Donald Trump's approval rating remains around 50%. What's your party's approval rating? How about you worry about your party, if you can even call it that anymore, and Trump's admin will clean up your mess. I always say it on these CNN clips, but I genuinely feel like there was one competent person in that studio. See, Kevin O'Leary, just like Trump, is a businessman. Should we listen to him or the people with an agenda, anecdotes, and quotes from the experts? I mean, well, the experts are typically right, aren't they? What are some good examples? Well, if you think about it, the experts were spot on about everything during the pandemic. But what do you guys think? Are you as impressed with Kevin O'Leary on that panel as I am? We've been talking about tariffs a lot recently, but things are changing on a day-by-day basis. So please continue to comment. I'd love to hear your opinions on how things stand right now. Do you feel like Donald Trump has made progress and his strategy is working? Or do you have criticism of it? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, as always, really appreciate you watching. If you like watching videos of people like Kevin O'Leary just owning one or more liberals, then click on one of the videos that's about to pop up on your screen. Otherwise, as always, I've got the best viewers on the planet. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you taking a couple minutes out of your day to watch my video. It means a ton to me. Never forget, Jesus loves you. I'll see you guys.